Civilizations rarely realize they're changing until the world their grandchildren inherit no longer resembles the one they remember. Across Europe and North America, an old argument has returned with new urgency. What happens when a deeply religious civilization meets an increasingly secular one, and both believe some of their values are non-negotiable? Islam and the West have confronted one another for more than 1,000 years through conquests, crusades, colonialism, immigration, commerce, terrorism, alliances, scholarship, and ordinary human friendship. But today's battlefield is often cultural rather than military. Freedom of speech versus religious offense, secular law versus religious authority, individual autonomy versus communal obligation, integration versus multiculturalism. And lurking beneath all of it is the question polite society sometimes struggles even to phrase. Should Western countries be suspicious of Islam? Careful, suspicion of people because they're Muslim is prejudice. But scrutiny of ideas, movements, institutions, political ideologies, and competing claims about law and government is exactly what a free society is supposed to do, including scrutiny of Christianity, secularism, nationalism, and the West itself. Because tolerance cannot mean intellectual surrender, and religious liberty cannot mean collective guilt. Maybe the real question isn't whether Islam can survive in the West. Maybe it's whether the West still understands its own principles well enough to decide what it will tolerate, what it will challenge, and what it will never surrender.
Welcome to the Retrospect podcast, a show where people come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from their generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Stoney.
Hello.
And Jason.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going?
Oh, doing pretty good. I've been just trying to get moved in completely into the house and still, believe it or not, unpacking boxes and hauling stuff up into the attic and all that stuff.
Are you guys also guilty of, like, whenever you move or come back from a trip or something, there's always like that one box or those couple things you don't quite ever get to unpacking? Or
well, the last bastion of unpacked boxes is in my office, and most of that is my computer related stuff, and I got to figure out what I'm going to do with all this stuff because it's a lot. And so I think because my computer is still not completely built out the way I want it. So believe it or not, I'm still waiting on some parts that I have to get. But so I'm probably thinking I'm going to probably just pack that in one box of what goes into the build, and everything else I'm going to just haul up into the attic just to give me space in there. I have some ideas what I want to do in that room, and I'm going to need I got to get it where I don't have all kind of stuff piled up in there right now. So it's the last, we've pretty much gotten everything squared away in most of the house.
That's good.
We got a new dishwasher and got a new garage door motor and there's a few more things we're going to be spending money on, but it's part of it.
Well, I just, as I've told you guys, I don't think I've said anything on the show. I've had an issue with my fridge where it wants to stay cold for a while, and then it'll thaw back out again. And I thought that the compressor was going out. But I got a technician out here, and he said it was a control board. And so the good thing is maybe it's a blessing in disguise. There's some family friends have a spare refrigerator that they said they can just give to me, and it's good. It just needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Now I just gotta get some help to move the old one out and get the new one in. So a lot of that kind of stuff that I'm glad that I don't have to. I'm thankful. Again, I'm not gonna, I don't have the financial ability right now to buy a new fridge, and so I'm glad that it's going to be an upgrade from the one I currently have. So
okay, that's always nice.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm trying to be. I'm happy with it, and because obviously I think with the circumstances with my landlord, I think I could get upset about how things are being handled. And I think the more I think about it, the more upset I do get. But that's when I try to take a step back and go, you know what, I've got a better fridge in waiting for me. I'm just gonna, I'm excited about it. So, but yeah, I'm glad to hear everything's working out with the new place.
Yeah, we're moving along. I really probably need to get out. Luckily, it has not been raining, so the grass has really not been growing at all. But I do need to get out there and probably just at least run the lawnmower and kind of just pick up a little bit. Yeah. We still have the wire that AT&T came out and run, waiting for them to come bury it.
Okay.
So I'm waiting on the, get that fiber line.
That'll be nice.
Buried. So I have no idea when that'll happen. So,
yeah.
But, we're moving along.
Right.
But,
that's good.
It's just, every little week we're going to be emptying out the storage room that my wife had rented when she moved in, and so we're about halfway, maybe 2/3.
Okay,
we've cleared out.
Oh,
so
okay,
about a third.
That's moving along.
So a third's left in there. So this weekend we'll probably go grab some more stuff and go from there. So,
nice.
But
good to hear.
Oh yeah, it's
cool stuff.
It's going along, but.
Wasn't there a situation I couldn't quite look it up, and I don't remember what we had said that caused us to want to talk about this topic specifically? Wasn't there was like a thing that happened?
Well, there was at least what I think. There was a debate.
There's a number of things.
There was a debate. There was a debate in England. I believe at Oxford. And the title of the debate in traditional British style, where they get up there and two sides, they go back and forth
with their wigs.
Yeah, and do all this stuff, which is the way how they hash out differences and kind of come to a consensus. So but the title of this debate, and it made the rounds throughout the news cycle, was should the West be suspicious of Islam? And I found it very telling that the people that were claiming that Islam should not be viewed with suspicion and stuff like that, there was a mob of people outside of the debate tearing things up, and it was all about the people that were Islamic.
Right.
They're doing this, and it's like, this is what the other side of the argument was saying, and it's like, there's no one from our side that is outside waiting to tear me limb from limb if I walk outside the door and they don't like what I say.
Exactly.
So this is kind of what prompted this, and I think we've all heard in the news what's going on in Europe with these Islamic immigration that's been happening for the last few decades. You've got serious problems, and it's even starting to infiltrate here in the United States. We all know what's going on in Dearborn, Michigan. I never thought in my wildest dreams, because I remember Dearborn, Michigan growing up as a kid, that was about as red bone,
blue collar,
blue American as you can get, and it has turned into something completely different, all because you imported a large number of people with no intent to assimilate into the greater society and to, in essence, become Americanized.
Well, when you come into this country and you don't want to assimilate and you want to turn this country into the shithole that you came from, that's not immigration, that's invasion. And that's what we need to be worried about, because if you look at history, yes, there were some Islamic leaders that conquered a couple of things, but this is and you can kind of look at it as a what do you call it when you have a plan, the order of the plan. You bring what you consider your peaceful people over there, the people that can get along with most people, and they're going to be quiet. And then you get a couple people elected, then you get a couple people here, and then you start beating on shops and telling them you're going to stop selling lottery tickets and stop selling pork, or we're going to destroy your business. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, well, you can't have pork in schools because, well, you can't even cook it because that's going to offend the Muslim community. No, that's not what the Constitution guarantees. Again, that's why this is going to be such a problem, is that does Islam work with a constitutional republic?
It never has before.
That's my point. It never has before, and it's not going to ever happen. And because being a Muslim, guess what, is protected in America. You can be Muslim.
Yeah.
Right.
You cannot eat pork. You can have a mosque. But your rules inside that religion and inside that mosque cannot impede another citizen of America who likes pork, who likes dogs, who likes to buy lottery tickets, who does not want to hear your calls of prayer 5 times a day blasted across the city. That's noise ordinance, and we have laws for that.
Well, I think the other issue that brought this topic to light was our episode we did on the British rape gang scandal. So there's really 2 things that really kind of brought this thing to the forefront. And I know this can be a very sensitive topic, because when you're basically talking about a religion, then, you start kind of walking, you got to kind of start
tightrope.
You kind of walking on eggshells a little bit. It's a shame. But unfortunately, with this particular religion, it's not like people can talk critically about it.
No.
And unlike
right.
what they can do with Christianity or Buddhism or just name another religion and have the risk of of being physically harmed. And I think this is the problem is, I keep hearing that they're not a threat. I have my suspicions that Islam is not really a religion. I think it's a political ideology because the religion has a political nature to it. It was born in the idea of doing what you have to do to conquer territory, and either people submit, because Islam, as we know, is basically you submit. You either submit
or die,
or what has been kind of in common practice that's going on now.
Pay the tax.
You pay the tax.
Yeah.
So in essence, you are a second-class citizen for all intents and purposes. It's like you're basically bribing them not to kill me.
Yeah.
So and within their context, and just FYI, I have a copy of the Quran at home.
Okay.
I do. And because I like to research this stuff, and I'm telling you, the religion was born out of conquest with the sword. It has been that way since it came out of Arabia in the 6th century. It really did. And short of what miraculously, I believe it was Charles Martel, made a stand in the 7th century, prevented Islam from basically overrunning all of Europe at that time. People don't really understand. But our lack of really caring about history has unfortunately kind of robbed us of a tool that our ancestors, in essence, gave us to say, you need to be concerned about this, because the experience of dealing with this group has been not good.
Look at history. That's all you got to do.
Well, but people don't look at history.
That's our point here on the show is we're bringing history to you because you need to be aware of the things that are happening. We spoke in, I think, the last episode that North Africa was the hub of Christianity. And now all of a sudden it's basically all Muslim. A lot of the countries like Somalia and places like this are inbred, IQs less than 70, because what you do is, and this is what they're trying to do in America, and there is a huge collaboration between the libtard Democrats, the socialist, the communist, and Islam. What they want to do is they want to dumb down America so that you have a weakened system of men who now can look at Islam and say, I'm the power, I'm the ruler. And then now you've got raping of women and children. You've got marriage and having sex with 9, 10, 11, and 12-year-olds.
And they justify it, too.
And they justify it.
Yeah.
And because a strong, red-blooded Christian American is never going to fall for that. You're never going to buy that. But now look at the weak men. Look at all the woke agenda people that are now looking and are in bed basically with Islam. New York, who'd have ever thought they'd have voted for a
still crazy
Islamic radical as mayor of New York?
I think, unfortunately, he snuck in. I think if you look at the voter the voter turnout for that election, it was not very good. And I think a lot of people stayed home, which is typically what happens. There is I think we've talked about it before. There is a sense that, people just feel like nothing will change.
They want to be comfortable.
We're mired in this stuff. And I'm telling you, why Islam appears to be on the rise and strong is because Christianity has become weak. If you look throughout history, when Christianity is strong, Islam is weak. And the only reason they appear to be strong is because Christianity, and this is my indictment of my own civilization of the West, if we have lost what I call the animating spirit that gave rise to the idea that we take for granted today. People have forgotten the idea of dignity of the individual, of rights, of all these things that we don't think about now, that the average person just kind of assumes was always there. It wasn't always there. At one time, life was very brutal and it was cruel, and it was Christianity that made a difference in the world. That gave power to the people who had no power. To women, if you recall, in the ancient world, were second-class citizens and were treated as such. Christianity gave them dignity, gave them the idea. This is where all this comes from. So by the time you get to the Middle Ages and knights going off to get the fair maiden, protecting women and all this comes from this Christian spirit that animated Western civilization. What's happened in our society now is we've kind of thrown off that. We now have become a very secular world, and we have kind of forgotten why we are the way we are. What we've just kind of taken for granted. So
why do people believe that Christians have to be so weak?
Well,
and this is my point to bringing this up. Why do you think, what? An eye for an eye and turn the other cheek does not mean what some of these people, these pastors, these love and these motivational speakers mean. Turn the other cheek. I'm sorry. Look at the original text. That is not a turn the other cheek because I'm weak. That is a Rocky moment. That is Rocky getting beat by the Russian and turning and saying, come on, because I got Jesus on my side. Let me show you what power is, what turn the other cheek means. Why do people assume Christians have to be so weak? We're supposed to be meek. We are not supposed to be weak. There is a difference.
Yeah, I think
I'm tired of hearing
Yeah,
it.
yeah. We're dealing with a very I feel like a very
well, this is
sensitive area because
this has been going on really. I would venture to say
Centuries.
since. Well, I would say the kind of that this idea of turning the other cheek. I would say after World War One, this in the West, this kind of really started this idea of demeaning masculinity, and we are. I hate to say it, we're the product of this sort of idea that you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't be too aggressive, you can't do the. At one time, Christian men used to be that way. I mean, that's what animated Christian men to take up the sword to go off in the Middle East to fight the Crusades.
One Templar was worth 25 to 30
Saracens.
Islamic Saracens.
Yeah.
One guy was worth that because he had God on his side. And you have to remember, too, they didn't bring the sweet little guys over there. They went and found the hardened, the bloodthirsty, and said, hey, we're going to make you a knight, and you can have this, this, and this, but you're going to be the poor knights of Christ, so you can't do this, and you got to do this, but go over there and kick ass. And they did.
Yeah.
And even in the time of America, we believed in that. Thomas Jefferson, Barbary pirates. What did they do? He sent the new Marines over there, screwed everybody up, and then you didn't hear from the Muslims for 150 years in America.
He went to Tripoli and dealt with...
because they were taking American citizens and selling them into slavery.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. When they were confronted, see, this is what people don't understand. During that time, when they were confronted by the new American government, they're going... what's the deal here? Why are you doing this to our sailors? He says, well, because the Quran
says
commands us to do
it.
So they're just following the tenets of their own religion.
Right.
Now, I find it funny that people say, well, they're an extremist.
No, they're not.
I would venture to say, no, they're faithful followers of their religion.
Followers of their religion,
I mean,
yes.
You could say the same thing about Christianity. How many times have you heard this? Oh, well, I'm not that extreme. Well, what do you mean you're not that extreme?
How about just a faithful follower?
You're either a Christian and whatever the tenets of Christianity teach, that's what you're supposed to do if you truly are a follower of a particular religion. I mean, I think in our modern kind of what's the term I'm looking for? Apathetic or relativistic world. We just kind of pick and choose what we, kind of want to emphasize and other things.
Well, right now, we don't even pick and choose. The media picks and choose for us. There was an imam I saw months ago talking about what Islam extremist is. And he was like, there is no such thing as a moderate Muslim. That is a Western term.
It is.
If someone is following the Quran and is a practicing Islam, he's an extremist or she is an extremist. There's no such thing. That is a Western term, moderate, because that does not exist in our world. Now, what we do is use that perception of people to get a foothold somewhere. We'll send people. He said, we love the woke agenda in America because that weakens their men. They will submit to us, where a strong Christian person is not ever going to submit to what we're offering. And we want America to become so weak that the only answer is Islam, not understanding that the only answer is Christ.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I found this to me very telling. Right now, if you know that there was a Muslim, I have to pull up his name, Ian, you may want to, who won the Michigan Senate Democratic primary. So he will run against a Republican, whoever that will be, for Michigan's one of their Senate seats.
Abdul El
Sayed, I believe, or something like that. Right now, the current sitting Attorney General of Michigan, who is a Democrat, but is also Jewish, can't even attend their own party's primary because her life
is in danger.
Mm-hmm. And this is the problem. This is the issue, because within the context of the religious belief of Islam, there is this idea of violence. It just is. It's been that way since the very beginning, and I'm sorry if it rubs people the wrong way, but you need to understand Islam, where it comes from, and how it got started. Most of what we consider Islamic today, that was the cradle of Christianity. That, if you read your Bible, all that was Christian. That was Christian at one time. It was forcibly taken over the centuries, which then ultimately prompted the Crusades to begin with.
Right.
And so
to take Jerusalem back.
It has been a deal to me, nothing like the Hagia Sophia. It aggravates me. That was the largest Christian church that before it fell to the Turks, and then they turned it into a mosque. It's like,
well, look what happened to the Temple of Solomon.
You have no claim to that place. That's a completely different thing. But that's what Islam does. It co-opts things and then claims it's theirs. That's the way it's been since the very beginning. It's just kind of the way they work. That's what I'm saying. It's more than just a religion. There is a political ideology to conquest. And I'm telling you, what's happening right now with these mass migrations, that is a part of the plan. You go in, you outproduce, you co-opt institutions that the West set up.
You outbreed.
And you outbreed, and then eventually you outvote.
That's right.
And so, in essence, the very systems that we have set up as a democratic country gets hijacked, and we find ourselves unable to respond to it because now we're attacking our own very institutions.
Yeah.
You see the tension and the problems, why people don't seem to be able to do anything about this, because if we do this, and I've got to undo basically the very thing that made Western civilization. It's a very difficult situation right now, and I don't know what the fix is for this. I really don't.
Well, the fix is to make Sharia law illegal in America because it's not compatible. What you want to practice in your home, you do so. It does not leave your home. It does not leave your mosque.
Nobody wants to do that, though.
Oh, that's what needs to happen.
I mean,
nobody wants to stand up and say that.
Exactly. Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid I'm going to get shot or get ambushed, or
because we live in a country now where we're supposed to be tolerant, we're supposed to be inclusive, we're supposed to be open.
Who said?
Well, no, a majority of people, as I'm saying, whether you like it or not,
said that?
everyone from my generation down, that is
the same people welcoming the
that's
Islamic people into power.
Right.
Okay,
That's what I mean.
That's who's doing it. Okay, because they want it. That is this collaboration between the communists, the socialists, the libtard Democrats. Because here's the thing: the top 5 richest senators are Democrats. Okay, they know. Oh, we're going to get this. We're going to get our 15-minute cities. Where was the first 15-minute city that was planned? Saudi Arabia. Okay. Then now look at all these other little cities, and they're planning this because they know all we got to do is pay the tax and we'll be alone. But then what they're going to have is, guess what? Shared slaves.
Yeah.
Okay. Us. We're going to be the shared slaves. We're either going to convert to Islam or we're going to have to pay some tax and be their slaves. That's what this collaboration between the communist, socialist, and the libtards is with Islam. This is an agreement. Okay, when we get through all this and we get everything we want, we get everything you want in this, then we'll just split the slaves. Because only the people that think about this, they're Bill Gates, all these people, Fauci, all these people, they've said it. We need to kill 2 to 3 billion people on this planet. Because they only want so many people that act as their slaves, continue to breed, have enough slaves for them, and that's it. That's what all of this is about, I'm telling you.
Well, I'm glad to see Germany is finally.
Oh, they woke. Poland was ahead of the game. Now Germany's picked up.
Germany is finally cracking down on some of this stuff because it's just gotten ridiculous. I mean, you've got full areas. I see here, I'm reading an AP report. Germany cracks down on Muslim groups viewed as threats to its constitutional order. They said in Berlin, I'm looking at a deal here, it's banned a Muslim group over accusations of violating human rights and the country's democratic values and conducted raids against 2 other Muslim groups.
Is Germany still considered primarily Christian, or is that?
You would think it is. I mean, but right
That's
now
the founding of the Lutherans, and
they got more problems over there right now. And they're and look, I'm going to tell you, I can understand how many Christians have really abandoned what I call woman-centric Christianity that has taken hold, that really has no place for young men anymore. And I think now, so you look at people like Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
We've all heard it in the news with Andrew Tate. He became a Muslim because he liked the view that these Muslims had regarding the man is going to be in charge.
Yeah.
Was that not my point about 5 minutes ago in this thing? When you have the weak-minded people, they're going to look to Islam and say, oh, wow, this is what I want. I can be part of this.
For a young man, I can understand the appeal of that. If all I've been led my entire life is basically men are weak, you're useless, you can't do anything. Every TV show shows, especially white men.
Yes.
Let's be honest. White men it's terrible. I look at it every day and I just mumble under my breath and go, oh, there they go again. And I look at shows from back in the 70s and the 80s, and it's completely different.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It is completely different. And it's I'm just kind of following up on this article. It said the Interior Ministry said Muslim interketif represented a threat to the country's constitutional order by promoting anti-Semitism and discrimination against women and sexual minorities. Several hundred police officers searched 7 premises in the northern city of Hamburg linked to this group, as well as 12 other premises in Berlin and the central German state of Hesse in connection with 2 other Muslim groups, Generation Islam and Reality Islam. If you don't think, as I'm saying, if you don't think there's a political backstory to this, of what they're trying to do, they are still thinking in terms of the Crusade era. They have never forgotten that, and this is the way they're going to do it. I can't beat you militarily because they lose most of the time. But you look at the war. When was the last time Islamic armies won anything?
Yeah.
It's been a long, long time ago. They just don't. And there's some reasons why it seems like they just can't. Even when they have more numbers on their side, they still lose. I mean, just go back to when Israel fought the 7-day war with them. I mean, it's just Israel.
Do you know the story behind that?
What's that?
They were painting the rocks and the trees, and the army that was trying to invade would park in the shade. They planted the trees there on purpose, and so they knew what the ranges were of all the rocks because they were painted on this side. They were painted on the side that Israel was looking, and they knew this rock was, this many feet away, and this tree was this many feet away, and all they had to do was dial it in and hit the tanks and the soldiers. It was kind of funny. Sad, but funny, but.
Well, they said the government argued the group was a particular threat because it promoted Islam as a sole model for the social order and maintained that Islamic law should take precedence over German law in regulating the life in the Muslim community, including areas such as the treatment of women, which I can see within that culture, women are second-class citizens.
Right.
They are. It just, to me, it boggles my mind when I see white Western women sitting there championing this group, and I'm going, do you realize what you would be in their country?
Oh, yeah.
Where they're the majority?
You're property to them.
You would be property.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I find it funny that in this particular debate that I watched in Oxford, if I remember right, the proponent of Islam was a Muslim woman. And so this is what they were trying to say. It says, you're holding this position because you're in a Western country.
Exactly.
And you think you would be doing this if you were in Saudi Arabia?
No.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
What about that woman, the African American woman that went to Africa because she hated the way she was being treated in America, gave up her citizenship, and moved to Africa, and now she's begging to come back.
Well, I bet she is.
Because she went over there and found out it's not like anything.
It ain't like this. These people just
Rosie
absolutely
O'Donnell, the Irish are begging us to take her back because she's eating all the potatoes over there. I mean, it's kind of crazy. She gave up her citizenship and left, and now wants to come back. But that's only a few examples of people that have actually left. Now, big stars who have lots of money have houses in multiple places, but you notice they're not giving up their citizenship so they can come back and work for that next movie. Oh, but I'm moving to Paris, France. No, you're not. You're going to vacation there and come back when you want to make your money. But you're not giving up your citizenship. Do it.
It's the same kind of people that I'm not sure if anybody remembers this or not, but there's like a musician, a very popular musician that had said that nobody is what did she say? Nobody's in charge on stolen land or something like that, but she still owns like a big mansion out in like in Beverly Hills or whatever. And I was like, okay, yeah. So it's those kind of people that still have that same kind of mentality of like, oh, they'll
Billie Eilish.
Yeah. They'll complain about it from their golden thrones, how bad the country is, and
Well, they say that in Pew, they say in 2025, polling found that 74% of Americans believe Muslims face at least some discrimination, although that figure has fallen from 87% in 2017. So I think that was kind of the height of. I think people are waking up and seeing what this looks like.
The quote I was talking about was having to do with immigration, and it was no one is illegal on stolen land. And of course, she has a very, very big, wealthy house. That's
of course, they all do.
Yeah. It's like, oh, so if that's stolen land, why don't you
just give it back?
Yeah, give it back to me. Give it back to us. Give it back to the people. Yeah,
give the proceeds to
it's that kind of stuff.
Pick some Native American tribes
exactly. So it's that kind of stuff. It's those kind of mentality of like they say these things that that move crowds and make people feel a certain way. And they look down on us from their golden thrones, and they can complain about how bad the nation is. And it's the same kind of situation like you're talking about with that, where it's like, you sit here in the country. I had this discussion in this conversation with some friends whenever I was in high school about people burning the flag, like not in like a ceremonial or that like an honoring way, but in like a protest kind of way of like burning the American flag and kind of being against the country. And I was like, the thing I could never get around the people's heads that I was discussing this with was the fact that like you have the freedom, you live in a country that affords you the freedom to do that action, and you're not gonna be killed or put in prison for it. You have the right to say what you want to say and feel what you want to feel, and that's the thing, is that we live in a country where like you are afforded those rights, that you can have that, whereas that's not the case in other countries. And so you sit here and you can complain about your country all you want, but like you're also like, look at the freedoms that you have to say that, to voice that, to I don't know. I feel like it's the same situation like we're talking about with this, of like you go, I don't know.
Well, I'm saying there is a sizable percentage of people that literally want Sharia law to be the rule of law, and I'm sitting there going, how in the world can you think that?
Yeah,
I mean, I just don't. Look, I would love. I'm a Christian. I would love for everything to be Christian. Yeah, I think it's a superior worldview.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to impose that on people. Would it be a desire of mine? Yes, because I would want people to come to that voluntarily and on their own.
Right.
Because I just think it makes for a better society. But I'm not going to force that on you. I mean, Jesus Christ never forced anything on anybody.
Right.
So I wouldn't. But this religion
very
much believes in forcing itself on you.
Well, and that's the thing is, Islamic jurisprudence in its traditional form can't operate unchanged in an American constitutional system. I mean, when you think about the penalties, the blasphemy laws, the unequal religious citizenships or religious supremacy over constitutional law can't coexist. It does not work. It can't work. That's the whole premise behind the Constitution, giving you, guess what? God-given abilities and rights. Right. So this Sharia law can't come in and take that away. It's not compatible in its traditional form because in Islam, that is your government. That is your family. That is everything that you do. In England, they have Islamic courts now to deal with divorces and petty disputes among people. They want that in America. No.
Right. I don't think they understand I don't think they understand what it means.
To be an American?
No. No, to vote for that sort of thing. It's one of those things where I feel like they're whoever is the publicity team trying to make people like Sharia law, I think they're doing a pretty good job at convincing people that it's whatever, and they're hiding all the dirty details of it. That's the whole point, is they're trying to hide the suspicious aspects of it, so that whenever it finally gets in place in certain areas, that's when it's like, oh, there's no going back now, and now you get all the dirty sides of it that is not good. Yeah. And I think what I'm trying to say is I don't think those people that are championing for it are understanding those adverse effect or the other stuff that they're not understanding. You know what I mean? I could be wrong though, but if they're conscious of it, that's even worse.
But look who they're preaching it to. They're not preaching it to us.
Yeah.
Okay, strong Christian men. No. They're preaching it to the libtards who have given up their right to think for themselves, and we're sheep. Well, guess what they do to goats and sheep in the Middle East?
Okay.
All right? I'm just saying. Okay, they want to ban you from having a dog, but look at the nasty shit they're doing over there to the animals.
I would venture to say it's...
A dog is dirty. You can't have a dog in your own home.
Yeah, that culture is... I'm going to tell you, I talked to military guys, buddies of mine that went over to the Middle East, and he told me some pretty horrifying stories of what they do over there. I mean, it's like we would just shake our head and kind of turn our heads in disgust. But it's very. That's what I'm saying. I really don't believe that is. I don't believe the religion is compatible with Christianity at all. I mean, zilch. I think it's something completely different. It's been that way from the very beginning, and when you have a religion that's based upon a guy that supposedly took instructions from the angel Gabriel and then basically went around and told the tribes of the time, basically saying, well, all the raping and pillaging that you're doing, well, now you do it in the name of Islam, and you can just keep doing what you want because God will bless you for it.
Well, he appealed to the weak man. He appealed to not strong people. He appealed to weak individuals who now have an excuse to do their weak things.
Well, I would venture to say at the time when religion was born, it was appealing to warring tribes, which the common practice was at the time, which was nothing unusual at that time, was you come in, you conquer an area, you kill, and you take. And that's just how things work. What Islam did was basically give it God-endorsed endorses that behavior. It's like, why did these tribes gravitate toward it? Because it basically allowed them to do what they were already doing. They didn't have to have a change of heart. Yeah. there was nothing built into the religion that for me to be a kinder, more gentle person. None of that. It was basically Allah now is compelling me to go out and spread the word, and that means killing them. There's a guy that I follow that he's been around for a long time. Raymond Ibrahim is a well-known scholar on Islam. He's actually a Coptic Christian. He's from Egypt.
Okay.
And so
is that the guy who wears all the? Is he like?
No, he wears like a regular. He's a professor.
Oh, okay, maybe that's a different guy.
But he's been around. I believe how he got started was after 9/11. He went down into the National Archives and something like that. But he's a very interesting guy. He's written several books on the origins of Islam, how it came to be, what are the factors that led up to the West having to even eventually fight back against this group, because they were not stopping at all. And people need to understand that. They really do. And it's not that you're being mean, but you got to be honest with the facts. Islam formed out of violence. That's the nature of that religion. It's part of its DNA. Christianity, why did Christianity spread? What made it appealing to people? Christians weren't going around in the first couple centuries, picking up the sword and conquering territories and making people second-class citizens if they don't convert or pay taxes on. None of that was going on. It grew because people saw people willing to go to their deaths for this strange new belief that brought them joy and happiness, and it provided a way that was somehow that the old religion, the old paganistic religions of worshiping Zeus or Apollo, or basically where you were offering sacrifice to the gods to prevent their anger from coming down on you. That completely upended that way of thinking, that people have dignity, that God is not this capricious, unjust being that sits up in the cosmos and dishes out these kind of things. It was a completely way of looking at that. So there was just this gradual change of mind, and eventually as more and more people became Christian, it took over. Over time, it just took over. Islam wasn't like that.
Right.
It did not happen that way with Islam. And people need to understand that, because I just don't think people really look at history. They have no interest in it. It doesn't interest them. But all of a sudden they wake up one day and you realize that your society has completely changed. I can only imagine what it's like for people in Dearborn, Michigan right now that grew up, that are, say, 50 or 60 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
And they go, still there.
What? Yeah. It's like, I don't even recognize this place anymore. What happened? I mean, but this is unfortunately the world they're handing on to their kids. And it's not fair. I mean, I blame my own group, in essence, my side of the aisle, for basically being stupid. Because they've put politics in a way of this, somehow I'm going to get more votes. Yeah. Instead of looking at this long term and understanding the damage that you're doing to the very society that you say you're trying to make better. It ain't gonna get better. It's just not. And
not just magically overnight.
Well, no. Yeah. They believe in playing the long game. They do, and we're not. We really aren't. We're 5 years ahead of us, and that's it. Can't think beyond that.
Right.
They're looking at 25, 50 years.
Yeah.
I would venture to say China is the same way. Yeah. They play the long game.
Yeah, you're right.
So I don't know how we how we're going to deal with this. I really don't. I have my. I'm not a fan of this of this religion. I'm just not, and I know that may offend people. And I know Muslims.
Mhm.
I know people that practice Islam. They go to the temple into the there's a place near where I work,
Yeah.
and they go pray. They do their thing. The place is packed on certain days. I mean, cars everywhere. But I think ultimately the evidence is very clear. Once that religion gets to a certain percentage of the population, you're going to have problems. Period. There is no, well, no, that just happens over there.
Right.
No, it's going to happen here.
Yeah.
It just will.
Yeah.
Because if they're a good Muslim, their goal is to upend Western civilization because they believe Western civilization is corrupt
Yeah.
and ungodly. And it's their job to bring God back. And unfortunately, I think our own secularization of our own society has unfortunately brought this about. I really do.
Yeah.
I think our own complacency and our own comfort has brought us here. Because like you said, can you imagine people from before World War I or World War II even allowing this to happen?
Oh, no.
Then it took these guys out back to the woodshed and beat the hell out of them.
The West was strong at that time.
It was strong, and men were men.
Yeah.
And you didn't tolerate certain things. You did not, like when we talked about the Madison Brooks thing, I don't remember the whole conversation, but I re-listened to it because it's growing back again in our listenership right now. And one thing I said was, how does a man sit there and watch other men do this to a woman?
Because
I don't care. In my handicapped state, now, that I'm completely disabled and handicapped because of this accident, I'd give them my life to make sure they, even if they'd have killed me, they'd have understood that's not how you treat a woman in front of me and should be in America. That's not how you do things. And that's why the libtard Democrat Party, the socialist, the communist, and this Islamic merger is targeting weak individuals, because that's the only people that are going to buy into this. No one else is going to buy into it. That's, again, why I keep talking about this attack on the American Christian family. And notice I didn't say the white or the black American Christian family. I said the American Christian family, because that's the strongest. They have God on their side. That is the strongest force on this world. And the only way to do their one world government is to destroy the American Christian family, because then they can walk right in with it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, this is a European Christianity, which, that would be
Yeah.
us.
That's us.
It says, has declined dramatically. Sexual ethics have transformed. Ideas about marriage, gender, family, national identity change enormously over the last few generations. Even Westerners disagree about what constitutes Western values now. See, this is what I'm saying, is why Islam seems to be on the rise, is we have forgotten the very things that once animated our society. This is what I'm saying. I to me, Western civilization doesn't exist unless Christianity exists. It's the foundation upon which we derive the idea of rights and all these things that the founders of this country, even though some of them claim to be deists, they still came from a culture of a Christian civilization. The idea that where we get these things in the Declaration of Independence, that comes from a Christian civilization. That's where it comes from. And we've, for whatever reason, in our world, we have decided that we decided to jettison that.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why. And maybe it's because we've become apathetic. We've become too soft.
Yes.
Society has become
all of the above.
We've all become the proverbial Pillsbury Doughboys.
Yeah.
I mean, we've lacked the hardness that once made our ancestors what they were.
But we have opportunities to change that. We have the November elections coming up. And when we were talking earlier about some of the things that are coming because of these elections, I want to remind everybody, that basically, if you were to strip naked and run around in a circle at 186,000 miles per second, which is basically the speed of light, it would be theoretically possible for you to screw yourself.
Okay.
But however, since you aren't physically capable of achieving that speed at your age, you can also accomplish the same result by voting for Democrats in November.
Yeah, well,
So just remember that. You're doing this to yourself. You can make that change. And the Christians now have to come together and vote their conscience and their beliefs. Not what the media is telling you, not what these motivational speakers and other people are telling you. Find you a good Christian pastor that's teaching the Bible and vote your conscience and your beliefs. Because like Jason said earlier, these people that are criticizing America and are yay Islam would be dead if they actually went to an Islamic country.
Yeah, they would. Well, I'm going to tell you, if you look at right now, the primaries are ongoing throughout the country right now, and you have places where you got some Muslims that are
winning.
And unfortunately, I'm telling you, I personally think the Democratic Party's got major issues right now. I know people were predicting a bloodbath in the midterms.
That guy y'all talked about earlier, there was a news article, I can't remember whatever his name was, the Democrats were saying, y'all don't need to use his whole name because it makes him sound too Muslim. Wait, what?
That's what he is. He's not hiding from that. So that's what I'm saying. There is now, they are emboldened. And unfortunately, I'll be very curious to see how what I would call the kind of traditional Democrats that are how do they reconcile now? Either I vote for a Republican, or I vote for
Islam and communism,
an Islamic guy that basically thinks of me in a certain way.
Yeah.
So
and the crazy thing is that I'm almost certain that people would probably vote for their derangement for the Republican Party would be so against it that they would be willing
their
to,
TDS would completely make them
I'm
do
gonna
that.
tell you right now, what I'm seeing is some very traditional liberal. I mean, we all know Bill Maher. I don't know if y'all follow Bill Maher any. I do watch some of his show. It's pretty interesting and it's entertaining at times. But I mean, I believe he calls balls and strikes, even though I disagree with him on a lot of things. But he's basically said, I can have this Democrat, and he's a true Democrat.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't even recognize this party anymore. He goes, my vote is up for play in this next presidential election. He said that to because J.D. Vance came on his show.
Oh gosh.
And he basically said that I can't vote for a party that's basically turning into either they're communist or Islamic.
Yep.
That's what they've turned into. And unfortunately, I don't think they have any they really have any thought of how they could do things. I mean, all I'm hearing right now coming out of New York is another company that's bailing out of that city because of what...
Well, you saw Mondami was just elected Florida's Businessman of the Year, and they've they've paid for posters in New York City saying that Mondami is the Florida Businessman of the Year, that he's brought more jobs and money to Florida than anybody, and they're thanking him for it.
I'm telling you, I think that the Democratic Party, as much as problems I have with the Republican Party, and trust me, I do.
Yes.
I can deal with those problems. What's on the other side of the aisle is complete craziness.
But you can't. I have a Fox News thing here. This isn't make-up joke, funny joke that Stoney likes to do. Minneapolis police tips on how to avoid or prepare for being robbed. 1, don't walk alone. 2, carry items only that you need. 3, be prepared to give up your cell phone, purse, and wallet. 4, don't fight with criminal. And 5, be prepared to describe suspects. Okay. Idaho police tips on how to avoid or prepare for being robbed. 1, carry a firearm. 2, use said firearm. 3, dial 911. 4, tell officers you were afraid for your life. 5, will answer questions only with my attorney present.
Minnesota's always been somewhat of a weird state.
Yeah, but they got good people there. Minnesota's another one of those.
Yeah, but
they were blue collar. And,
yeah, but they've been kind of crazy for long. I mean, they voted for Walter Mondale. I remember it was the only state that didn't vote. I think it was them in Washington, D.C. Well, the only states that didn't go with Reagan in, I think, 84. They've always been a little nuts. Now, unfortunately, do I believe they got some good people there? I do, but they've allowed their state to just go cuckoo. They just have. I'm sorry, if I'm a resident, I'm not letting my state turn into that.
Yeah.
I'm just not. And they just sit there and say, throw up their hand, ain't nothing I can do about it. You know, you need to get active. You need to go out there and wake up regarding what's going on. You're allowing a third world population come in and literally change your state into something it was never, ever
People want to bitch about capitalism. Wait till the Islamics come in here and change it to where you're going to wish capitalism was back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean,
because women aren't going to have these $1,800 cell phones.
No.
They can't drive.
No, they can't.
They can't get their nails done. They can't go to the spa. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
You can't wear the little yoga pants that should be illegal on some people. But you know what? Guess what? You're not going to be able to do any of that. You keep supporting them and watch what happens to you. You're going to wish there was some strong men, and you're going to be finding those strong men.
Well, until our society...
What did X-Man say before my accident when he was on the show? When the shit hits the fan, he knows what house he's coming to. I'm going to Stoney's house.
Yeah.
You know, when the shit hits the fan, you're going to be finding you a man.
It's just, we've got to wake up in the West. We really do. And I don't know what it's going to take for us to wake up, whether we have to go through some hardship for our society to wake up and realize that we just handing over our inheritance is what we're doing. We're handing over the hard work and the bloodshed that our ancestors laid down, where we're able to live the way we live. And then, believe me, as much as I criticize the excess and the decadence of our society, which I hate, you know, many of the religious beliefs of Muslims mirror what Christianity teaches. You know, I mean, think about all the sexual sins and all the. All Christianity teaches at its core is taught the same thing. We've just agreed to, in some part, I may disagree with you. I believe that behavior is sinful, but you know what?
They condone marrying a 9-year-old. I don't know what Christianity. I have to disagree with that because I have no idea where the F you're coming with that one. But Christianity does not agree with Islam.
No. That's not what he's talking about. He's not talking about that.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
you need to rephrase for stupid people like me because
think of homosexuality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Christianity teaches that is wrong. For a man and
Muslims
a man,
don't say that's wrong.
No,
they actually participate in that.
They actually do, but they don't view it in the way Christianity views it. They still, within the beliefs of Islam, homosexuality is a sin in their culture, even though they do it in certain ways, but it's done differently than the way it's done in the West. Whereas I think in the West, it's more about a certain way. I think it's different within from my understanding of talking to my friends that have come back from the Middle East to explain what goes on over there. It's different than how it's practiced in the West. But there are many things there are some things that Christianity and Islam is for, because many of the teachings of Islam came from Christianity,
Right.
where they mirrored
They
their
co-opted
religion.
it. Yeah,
They
yeah.
co-opted.
It didn't
They
come
co-opted
from it.
that.
They stole it.
Yeah, but they co-opted that.
And what he did was he used some of the Jewish teachings and the Christian teachings to make it more palatable for the weak-minded individuals that he was trying to, oh, look, see how close we are? But it doesn't have anything, it's not even close to resembling it. It's some BS that he was spewing to make it compatible for people who were on the line or on the fence, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't look. I'm just telling
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
That is why, unfortunately, I think Islam is so appealing for a lot of disaffected young men, and that's where you're seeing why they're drawn to this, because they're following people like Andrew Tate on social media. It's men have been so in the last, I would say, the last 40 years or so, have really been. There is a crisis of young men in the West right now. They've kind of lost their purpose, and let's be honest. Probably, I would say, probably after World War I, really the threats that at one time men dealt with, kind of for the most part, went away after that.
Well, you had World War II, and then Vietnam is where they really started attacking, masculinity.
I would say,
because those World War II guys and Vietnam guys were badass. They were, and I'm not saying the guys after that aren't, but that's when you had the attack on the family.
The culture.
The culture
turned, and of course that ties in with, the women's liberation movement.
When World War II ended, you welcomed these guys back as heroes. When Vietnam happened, you spit on them when they got off of that.
Exactly. It was terrible the way they were treated, but unfortunately that war was what it was. Just when you go and you don't go into a conflict that the whole country is not behind, this is unfortunately what happens.
Well, that was the military-industrial complex, because America had got up to 38th parallel,
right,
and then got pulled back.
They shut it down.
They shut it down. They had the thing won,
right,
and they pulled them back. Said we need to escalate this, which is funny because they had won it, and then pulled them back and made it a long-term conflict.
So I mean, it's just, I can understand why Islam is on the rise, because the West has lost what it took to fight that religion. Mm-hmm. It required a strong belief in Christian values and what Christianity taught and what all that meant. And I think that's what's been lost. And so we've lost the tools.
Yeah.
It's like we've removed the weapons that we had to be able to combat this, and now we're just sitting around with a thumb up our butt. I mean, that's basically what it is. And as long as somehow, this happens and I'm okay, and it's like, whatever, no one has any conviction anymore. They just don't.
Right.
I mean, it's sad, and I don't know how you fix that, but something needs to happen.
I agree.
Because...
Well, something's going to happen. Now, if you look in Israel, the soldiers walk around with, even if they're off duty, they walk around with their M16s. And we're not going to be far from that here in America, because that's coming.
Yeah, I do. I hate that because that's not the world that I want to leave.
It's not the world we want, but this is how America started. This was the Revolution. This was the Civil War. This was the Wild West.
Yeah.
And now, it was a law, until 35? If you were a landowner, you're required by law to own a gun in America to protect your family and your property.
Well, because the reality is the state really can't protect you.
No, they can't.
I tell people that all the time. I said, the police are not there to protect you. The police are after
they're here to investigate.
But they're more so even that. They're just basically the line that prevents the whole society from going into chaos, because that's what they're there for. But to protect you, you've got to protect you.
That's right.
You've got to protect you. And you've got to be
it.
cognizant of that fact. And I think a lot of people somehow think someone's going to magically show up.
No one's going to save you. No one's going to show up. I learned that the hard way over the last 3 years. No one helped me in the accident, and only a couple people have stood around me. You want to know who your real friends are?
Oh, yeah.
Go to hell. and find out who's standing next to you. And that's where I've been the last 3. Nobody's coming to save me. My wife is there 100%. You guys have been there. 1 or 2, 3 other people have been there for me through this time. No one is coming. When you add this assimilation, lack of assimilation by the Islamic community and wanting to push their Sharia law on us, no one's coming. We're the ones that are going to have to do it. No one is coming to save us.
Well, we'll see how this plays out. I know this is a very broad topic.
Yeah.
And, I know
there's aspects that we touched on as well in the past a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, they say the real test isn't whether Islam can become Western. It's whether Muslims and non-Muslims can share a civilization in which neither side has the power to force its deepest beliefs on the other.
And I don't think that the other side is willing to do that.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. Well, for anybody out there who wants to share your opinions, because I'm almost certain that this topic probably does have some opinions of certain folks, we have comment sections on Spotify and on YouTube where you can leave some short form responses. Or if there's anybody out there who's got like a novel they want to send us, we have an email address, which I think is also very fitting, getoffendedtogether@gmail.com, where you can send those long form responses. Be sure to like and subscribe on all the platforms you listen to us on, because it really means a lot. And share it with somebody you think would be interested in listening to this.
Or would be offended by it.
Or be offended by it, because it would still mean a lot to us. And until next week, thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone, and God bless.
Here's where I think America needs to stop being embarrassed about being America. Tolerance does not mean surrender. Diversity does not mean every imported political or religious idea deserves equal authority within the Constitution. And assimilation doesn't mean forgetting where you come from. It means understanding where you've arrived. If you fled a country where criticizing religion could get you imprisoned, don't recreate that system here. If you come from somewhere women had fewer legal rights, don't bring that inequality with you. If you left a country where apostasy could destroy your life, don't demand that America apologize for protecting the right to walk away from religion, because there's a bargain here. You don't have to stop being Muslim to be an American, but you do have to accept that your religion does not get coercive authority over Americans who reject it. I don't think that's anti-Muslim. I think that's profoundly pro-American. American doesn't ask you to erase your ancestry. It asks you to accept the Constitution. It does not demand theological agreement. It demands civic equality. It doesn't care whether your book is the Bible, the Quran, or the Torah, or whether you don't own one. The minute any ideology says, my sacred law outranks your constitutional rights, we've reached the line. And a civilization unwilling to defend its lines eventually discovers that it doesn't have any. Thanks for hanging out with us today. You're the best. Peace.